need to know right here on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Hey. Thursday in the Bureau. That is the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Hey, we're trying it again. I'm trying it again. We did a whole reboot, a reinstall of the software and a whole reboot and everything of the computer that sends the stream over to the social media channels on YouTube and Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. I don't know, is YouTube considered social media? It's probably not, is it? I mean, I probably watch more YouTube than anything else. Live, produced, non-live. That's where I'm watching stuff. I don't know if it counts as social media, but it does today. So we had audio and glitchy issues the last few days on that computer, sending it over to YouTube and Facebook and X. And so if you're tuning in over there, let me know. Let me know if that fixed it. Okay? If it sounds smooth and all that kind of stuff, let me know. All right, good. So far, Gene on Facebook says audio is okay. Well, hallelujah. We're off to a good start. All right. Get on in here. You can be a part of the show like Gene. Comment there on the stream. Or if you're listening, however, text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all across the Southeast. It is the best sausage. Hands down, in my opinion. What does that even mean, hands down? Why do we say that? It's the best, hands down. It might ought to be hands up, right? Like you're testifying with your hand up saying, yep, I'm in the group, I believe that. Why do we say it's the best, hands down? I don't know. But that's what we say, and you know what it means, and so I'll just stick with that. Text me on that Country Pleasin' text line, 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S., in fact. It means they've been doing it better, longer than anybody else right here at home at Davini. Number to call is 897-1059. Got it? 601 number, 897-1059. I wonder what's up with Beaver. Ding, ding, ding. Happy Thursday, Beav. What's up?
Not too much, Matt Wyatt.
Were you disappointed in me yesterday?
What'd you do?
Well, I called you at the end of hour one. I said, Beav, in hour one, we basically had no sports. And you said, okay, you got to keep it up. I said, all right, I will. You said, no sports. I said, yep. And within about 10 minutes, Winslow called in and got me on sports. I don't know, and I just picked up a whiff of disappointment from you. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I mean, you did commit, and you fell down on your job, but 15 seconds, 15 minutes of, you did like 15 minutes of sports. I guess that's not, I guess you got to fit it in somewhere. just do your best today. We got about an hour and 50 minutes left.
Yeah.
Just do your best to try again today.
Well, I feel like there's some interesting news in the sports world that we ought to at least set it on the table. Now, whether it becomes a conversation, I don't know, but I'm saying at least it ought to be set up on the table is what I'm saying. I feel like that's the responsible thing to do around here. I think I've asked you this before too, Beaver, but do you ever get any negative blowback when we don't do any sports? Really? Does anybody ever say anything to you?
No, not outside of.
Okay.
Not outside of the show. Everything I see is what you see on the text line.
Okay.
Yeah.
In other words, nobody comes up to talk to you about this show. Is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. What about Jake's show? Do a lot of people talk to you about that when you're out at the local Krogs and stuff?
No.
No.
No talk at the Krogs.
Okay. You don't talk to people? You kind of keep your head down and don't strike up conversation in public places?
Well, no, not with people I don't really know.
Yeah, I got
I'm not
you.
walking up to them and being like, hey, just, hey, random person.
Yeah.
I want to know how you felt about the Matt Wyatt show today.
You don't talk to strangers?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you ever had anybody, random stranger, recognize your voice from the radio?
Not since I've been here.
Really? Okay. I'm kind of surprised by that. That happens to me, but I will tell you, Beaver, it primarily happens, primarily, not exclusively, but primarily like in the metro, in the WRKS sort of footprint, you know, because, you know, like for example, my hometown of Tupelo, there's not a radio station that's like carrying it every day. And every now and then I'll bump into somebody who might listen to the podcast or whatever. But like when I'm in Jackson, I've had several times, you know, more than a few, where, you know, I might be ordering at a restaurant or just talking in line somewhere. Somebody will turn around and go, "Hey, I know you." Or they'll be more specific. "Hey, you're on the radio." Yeah. And it's strictly an audio cue. They don't know what it looked like. They recognize a voice. Anyway, where do we go from here, Beef? What are we talking about? Who am I? What day is this? What is Jason? All right. Why did Jason text this, Beaver, out of the gates? Jason in Flagstaff said, "How's my best good friend Beaver today?" And then he said, "Goofball." Did something go down between y'all yesterday afternoon, like on Jake's show or something?
No.
Why is he calling you a goofball? Or
yeah, what? I don't know, man. I don't know how people from Flagstaff typically act, so I don't know what he's doing.
Okay. I got you.
But he is my best good friend from Flagstaff.
Of all the people from Flagstaff, he's the best one? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, Beaver. Okay, this sort of thing right here that I'm about to mention is sort of what took the show off the sports rail yesterday and onto a different rail, you know, kind of off that sports rail. But I had another type of leftover today that I would like to now add to the top 3 list with the leftover tacos that I had yesterday. You ready? Brisket. Leftover, sliced up brisket given to me by my father-in-law this past weekend. I think he got it from a barbecue place in Vicksburg. He had that and some of the best barbecue chicken I've ever had in my life. And I put a dent into this big supply of barbecue chicken he had at his house last weekend. I mean, there were a couple of times, Beav, where other family members were wanting to go out to eat. And I'm like, y'all go ahead. I'm staying here eating this chicken. But there was some brisket too, okay? And it's leftover. I don't know how long you can still keep gnawing on leftover brisket. Like, is it good for 2 weeks, 3? It's been in the fridge. But I had some of that today for lunch, and I thought to myself, this is up there with the leftover tacos. I'm a leftover kind of guy. I love leftovers, especially good leftovers. And 2 days in a row, I don't think of all the leftover stuff, Beav, here's my top 3. I'm not listing them in order. It's just these 3 things are the top 3 leftover items. Here they go. Tacos, brisket, and turkey after Thanksgiving. There they are, 1, 2, 3. And I just wish I had the knowledge, skill, and patience to like cook/smoke my own brisket at my house. Like Real C. He's a brisket connoisseur. He knows what he's doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. I have to depend on somebody to give it to me. But man, that was good. So that's probably another reason, honestly, Beaver, if I'm just being straight up honest with you, it's probably another reason that this show will be a little bit like yesterday. My mind is elsewhere. So that's where it is. Oh, gosh, and there was something else I was going to ask you, babe. Now, it'll dawn on me here in a minute. All right, let's see. We got headlines coming up. I'll get to those. I got a text here, though, from White Denzel on the Country Pleasing text line. He says, what I'm thinking here. Here he goes. This is his Mississippi State coaching staff wish list. Head coach Brian O'Connor from Virginia. Pitching coach, the holdover, Parker. Justin Parker, who's the interim head coach right now. Hitting coach, the Mississippi native Will Coggin. And then he says that staff would be unstoppable at Mississippi State. Well, you cannot argue with that. Here's the thing, though, Denzel. What is the internet saying? And what are other people? Because I don't know. I'm off the internet. Other than 3 social media accounts, and honestly, most of that now, as far as stuff that I put out, is mostly photography related. Since I'm in that world too. So, what is the internet saying about the actual real chances of a coach like O'Connor from Virginia taking this Mississippi State job? I mean, is that a real thing, or is that just a wish? The first that I even thought of it, that is, again, O'Connor, the head baseball coach at Virginia. He's been there for 20 years, right? Long time. He has 1 national championship and a bunch of runs in Omaha there. And the first time I heard it was 2 days ago here on the show when Craig called in and brought it up. And immediately I'm like, yeah, boy. I mean, that seems to me that would be best case scenario, a coach like that. And then you go to look, and all the success he's had at Virginia at a place where the stadium seats about 5,000 people. Okay, but all the success, including a national championship and pro players. So you can win and coach at the highest level there under very little pressure at all, it would seem like to me. And he's never left. I would guarantee you, don't need to really know the specifics. I feel sure I can guarantee you that O'Connor has had plenty of overtures made his way over the years. And for some reason, he's always stayed at Virginia. It would lead me to believe that that's where he wants to be. Again, when you go, we did this the other day when Craig brought it up, went back and looked at O'Connor's career. He played at Creighton. I think he was a pitcher. As soon as he stopped playing, he became the pitching coach at his alma mater. And since then, we're talking early 90s, early to mid 90s. Since then, he's only been 2 places. That's Notre Dame and Virginia. So, okay, yeah. And just in terms of, can somebody like that run a program and put together a baseball team and a pitching staff and play good defense and not lead the league in errors? And can he run a tightly wound operation as a baseball outfit? Sure. There's no doubt about it. Has he done it a long time? He has. Okay. But how realistic is it, though, that you could decide we're going to, like if Zach Selman decides we're going to put a bullseye on O'Connor, that's who we want. How realistic is that they go get him? Okay, and a couple of the other questions that would pop up in my head. One would be, I wonder, would a guy like that look at this atmosphere that you're in right now in baseball, well, in college sports, and that is you got to pay the players. You have to pay them to come play for you. You got to load the sack. And it's all above the table now. I mean, you're going to have a good team. You're going to have a couple of millionaires on it as far as players go. Roster limits, all this kind of stuff. So in this new era, wide open transfer portal, you got to hit the portal every year. You got to pay players to come play for you. You got to pay players to stay and play for you if they've already been there 1 year. And it could be that some places just don't have the interest. Even though he's got a lot of success and good teams at Virginia under the old system, they may just not have the support and the fan base to even make a dent in this new system. And he looks at it like, okay, I could retire. Let's say he could retire in a state like Virginia. I don't know how many years total. But then he could double dip by taking a job in another state. Or if it's not a retirement thing, maybe he could look, maybe he would look at it like, you know, that's a place with plenty of resources. You know, they may not have the same, you know, dollar amount as an LSU to throw at their baseball team, but they sure got plenty. And they sure got more and more interest than we got here. So if I'm going to coach baseball, I'd rather be at a place like that. And maybe that's the deal. And the other thing, too, that I think about is this doesn't get as much airplay in coaching searches because everybody just assumes it's about money. Like, can you afford the buyout and can you afford to pay him what he wants? And all he cares about is the dollar amount, and that'll be the decision maker. Well, that's certainly not always the case. And one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is, do people want to come and work for that athletics director? And I don't know. I mean, you know, Zach's first job as an AD, very young. You know, what is that whole dynamic? Because I guarantee you, there are some head coaches out there in college baseball who would be interested in coaching state. But one of the turnoffs for them is they don't know Zach Selman. They don't know him, or they've had no dealings with him. And that paired with the fact he's such a young guy just getting started, and they're like, nah, not this time for me. I'm good where I am. See, so there's other stuff that goes into that. That's why I was asking. It's just like, I wonder, with all those possible factors, how realistic is that? I would love to know. Nick says that in regards to this deal of saying hands down, as I said, country pleasing the best sausage, hands down. He said it means that you can put your hands down because the vote is over. All right, gotcha. He says, like with the Doritos Locos Taco. Attaboy, Nick. Now, there you go. That's a way to harken back to yesterday. Tie it all together. He said it's the hands down the best innovation in the taco world. Hey, and I don't have a name for whoever sent me this picture of this young man in the boat holding that big largemouth bass you caught, but that one, it is a beautiful fish, a huge fish. I'm guessing, what is that, 10 pounds? Is that a 10-pounder? I mean, I bet it is. I bet that's a 10-pounder in it. Not only is it a great catch, but the photo's great. You got the setting sun over there off to the west, coming over his shoulder. Kind of, I tell you, man, that's a great picture. And congrats on the fish. Let's see, what does his hat say? Young man, I can't zoom in enough here, quite enough to see. But yeah, that's a big fish. I bet that is 10 pounds. Whew. Wish I was there. What'd you catch him on? That's what I want to know. Now, Real Unnamed Texter says 2 to 3 weeks for leftovers. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I think there are some things that are still good in the fridge 2 to 3 weeks later. Turkey after Thanksgiving, stuff like that. No beef? Is that too long?
Turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey's dry the day of Thanksgiving. Imagine how it's going to be in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, well, maybe it is dry, but it doesn't. But it's still good. What I'm saying is it doesn't go bad in 3 weeks if it's in the fridge.
I don't think Thanksgiving leftovers usually last people, though, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, because the standard thinking is, okay, you're going to be eating it on Friday and Saturday. I feel like that's usually polished off by Sunday.
Yeah. No, I get that. But like for me, I live in a house with people who they won't eat leftovers. They're not big on it.
Oh.
So it's great for me because I love leftovers. I get them all. I almost, when I'm at home, Beaver, I almost never feel the need to run out to, quote unquote, go to lunch. or go buy anything. There's always good leftovers in there. In there right now. I got still some leftover taco, meat. I've got some chili, leftover chili, and all that brisket. I honestly don't think I can eat all that brisket that my father-in-law sent home with me. I'm good, man. I love leftovers. Beav, I'm like you. There's something about the convenience of it. I don't have to get in a car. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't even really have to do anything except heat it up. There's a convenience angle to this leftover thing, too. Hey, Grumpy, he texted the show. He said, Matt, if Grumpy would see you out in public, Grumpy would only recognize you if you had your country pleasing cap on. And most of the time I do. I honestly do. And Grumpy, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm not one of these bald guys that always wears a hat because I'm embarrassed of being bald. That's not it. It's that, number one, out in the sun, my dermatologist is getting tired of cutting me open and stitching me up, and she has said you must always keep a hat on and a shirt on, all this kind of stuff, because I've had so much skin cancer, cut out and everything. And then the other thing is, when it gets hot around here, mosquitoes attack my bald head. It's true. There's something about my bald head they like. This one got me last night. So I always have a hat on for several reasons. It's not just advertising. All right, everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm Eddie Hoffman with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com, at a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West. and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the prairie wild.
Is in the house. Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the zone1059.com.
Back with you in the Bureau. That is the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team, Farm Bureau. Look, I'm Matt. Beaver is here. Beav, you know what this show is? Beav, this is the show where everybody knows your name. Right here.
Oh,
right here.
Now you're gonna try to steal the Cheers theme too.
You can't get sued for it, apparently.
Apparently.
We are the let me think of another one. Hang on. Beaver, here at this show, it just means more. It's got to be some others. But I digress for now. Get on in here. Let me see. I was talking about brisket earlier, and I depend on someone to give it to me. My father-in-law gave me a sack full of it in Vicksburg this past weekend, brought it home. I was still eating it, had it for lunch. He got it from a barbecue place there in Vicksburg. He may have gotten it from Goldie's, but yeah, it's real good. And I am jealous of people who can make it real C, like the pros. They can do it at home. Sammy is the same as me. He's on Facebook. He said, I'll leave the brisket to the pros. He said, I can handle everything else. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even have the confidence really to try it because I don't want to ruin it. And then I'd feel wasteful. Sefu says, hey, man, when you're not talking sports, you're the best. This is kind of like TNT inside the NBA. That's what I'm talking about. I just got a comparison to, I mean, it is kind of laughable, but to Sir Charles and Shaq, right? Yeah. Okay, Sammy on the baseball coaching thing, he says O'Connor would be the big fish. He's saying, like, of all the rumors out there, that's the name that is like the no-brainer sort of deal. I just wonder, though, is that... I mean, when Tennessee hired Tony Vitello, nobody in the world knew who he was except a few people he'd coached with. That's it. True story. Now look at him. I don't know. You know, if you're the AD, you just have to heck with, quote-unquote, winning a press conference. Just get the right guy. Lewis said on YouTube, O'Connor is seemingly unhappy with Virginia's commitment in baseball. He said, and a low buyout is what I'm seeing. Will, same to you. He said, Hail State, happy Thursday. Was hoping you'd be online Monday, Tuesday to talk about the Lamonas fire. Well, we were here. It's just the stream wasn't working, Will. So it's kind of my fault, but not really. There's not much I could do about it. We got it fixed, though. Did a reinstall of the software and a reboot, all that. And now it's working. But the other day it was all choppy and nobody could hear what we were saying. That is on the social media stream. Regarding leftovers, Rick on Facebook said, leftovers in the fridge. My wife dates everything that goes in the fridge and it's out after 7 days. He said, since I retired, it's leftovers for lunch every day. Man, I'm telling you, that's the best. Food made at home, sometimes it's even better the next day. No doubt the convenience part of it weighs heavily. Hunter texts the show. He says, Matt, have you ever had brisket tacos? You could make the tacos with leftover brisket 100%. Thought of it, Hunter. That might happen tonight. I watch the Braves. Listen, I had some brisket tacos at a place called, it's in downtown Nashville. Oh, Velvet Taco. That's the name of it. I don't know if there's an S on the end. It's either Velvet Taco or Velvet Tacos. One or the other. But it's right downtown, right down there by, not far from Vandy. And Mary Liddy really likes their food. They have these purple tortilla chips they bring out to your table while you're waiting on your food. But I had something there that's really good. Real good. Okay, regarding what the internet is saying about State's coaching search, unnamed texter said the internet's blowing up with every name in the book and said, who knows where Selman's brain is? I mean, that's the thing. You don't know what route he's going to go. White Denzel has joined me in the ranking of leftover items, and here he goes. Top leftover items. Brisket. Tacos. Yep. Ham and turkey from the holidays. Bingo. Then he added pizza, pork loin, and hash brown casserole. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all some leftover eating fellas. Like me? Man, I'm with you. All right, let's get some headlines in. Here we go.
Evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, right here in Mississippi. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com, mortgagemanms.com. My man went. Locations here in the metro, places like Tupelo and Starkville and Oxford and Memphis and all points in between. Anything mortgage related, start there at mortgagemanms.com. You'll have Thursday night college baseball, but it won't be Mississippi teams. It's going to be a huge series, though, by the way. I mean, this is a big one, especially this time of year. Number 1 ranked Texas at 11th ranked Arkansas in Fayetteville. If you don't think Baum Walker Stadium will be filled to the brim, just watch it and you'll see. Huge series. It starts tonight, so it goes Thursday through Saturday. Texas goes in there. They're 19-2 right now in the SEC. Arkansas is 14-7. But a little home field for them. We'll look at the other series around the SEC coming up. There are not many top 25 teams playing Thursday night baseball, though. NFL news, New York Giants rookie pass rusher Abdul Carter also received a prank call during the NFL draft. That's according to his agent, Drew Rosenhaus. He confirmed it yesterday. So, same thing. On Thursday night, same night that it happened to Shedeur Sanders, the now famous son of the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, stole the number off his dad's iPad, prank called Shedeur Sanders, put it on the internet, viral, then had to apologize and admit it. Then dad got fined $100,000 and the team got fined $250,000. Nuts. Well, according to his agent, Abdul Carter had the same thing happen to him. The call came Thursday night when the Jacksonville Jaguars were on the clock after acquiring the number 2 pick from the Cleveland Browns in a blockbuster trade. Caller called Abdul Carter, said he was from the Jaguars, and told Carter they were going to select him 2nd overall. Now, Rosenhaus told Adam Schefter, quote, Abdul and I knew it was BS. And we didn't tell the family about the call. But how did you know? How did you know? And the internet will do what the internet does. and it will not give really a flip about a prank call to Abdul Carter, but it will melt down for a week over a prank call to a guy like Shedeur Sanders. Those are your headlines, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. Check them out online at mortgagemanms.com. Mortgagemanms.com. Oh, look at here. All right, back over to the text line, the country pleasing text line. Look at there, Beef. We got turkey snobs. You see that? He said, dry turkey. You must not be cooking the turkey correctly. Beef, you didn't cook it right.
I guess.
That's why that turkey's dry. You don't know what you're doing. Who cooks the turkey at your house, Beef?
That would be little C.
Okay. Well, so she's doing it wrong, according to this guy.
Hey, guy on text line said you're doing it wrong, Mama.
Hey, Mom, read this. I'm just picking on everybody all at the same time. That's fun. Somebody texted the show, says, Matt, I think meatloaf, shepherd's pie, spaghetti sauce, and jambalaya will last a couple of weeks, but I'd be careful with that 3-week window that you could be asking for a little mold in your belly. Well, I mean, I look at it and smell it first. I don't just like gobble it down after 3 weeks. I check it out. Yeah, 3 weeks is kind of long for leftovers. Okay, I'll admit it. Jason said, oh, yeah, he says, you don't want poison oak on the back of your head either. He said, it's the exact reason I wear a boonie hat when with his baldness. He's at home in the Mississippi woods and in the lakes. He said he learned that the hard way. Yeah, that's right. You think you duck enough and you don't, or you bend over and kind of ease up against some of that poison oak. I've had it before, and where it was, on my face and head and everything. It's just rough. It's awful. Mosquitoes. I wear a hat to keep mosquitoes away. Okay. A little bit of everything. We'll have to come up with it. What kind of Thursday is it? It's a thought-provoking, thoughtful Thursday. Stick around. We'll be back after this. Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, "Country pleasing, please." They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5.
59.com.
Hot coffee. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. And I guess, it might be for me a little bit of a proximity bias or a home state bias, and therefore, you might accuse me of, well, Matt, you think that coffee tastes good because you like them because they're from New Albany, close to where you live here in Mississippi. Well, maybe, I don't know. We might go into it. Who cares? I just know it's good, and I'm thankful for it right now. Get you some. Get you some at highpointroasters.com. What did Jason say here? Oh, yeah, we read that about wearing the hat. Grumpy, I hate to hear that. I'm glad that you're listening. Maybe we can get your mind off of it. He texted and he said he's having some health issues this week. Nothing terminal. He's just in some pain. And I hope that, I just hate to hear that. I wish you could get by it and at the very least maybe hanging out with us for an hour or two would help keep your mind off of it to a degree. Hang in there. Top leftovers. Joe Mailman, he says fried catfish cold from the fridge. And then he likes cold pizza leftover also. Tyler, here's his leftover list. He says, number 1, pasta, especially like lasagna. And then chili. I have some of that in the fridge right now. Might eat it tonight. Leftover chili. Chili soups, all that kind of stuff. Oh, heated that up, he says. And then cold out of the fridge, he likes chicken tenders, sausage patties, and bacon. Now, listen, Tyler, I'm all about some leftover chicken. But cold? You don't heat that up either. It's interesting. All right, Possum Neck Joe, he texted Beaver. Said, Beaver, I'm concerned for Matt. Sausage, brisket, tacos, meat. I wonder if Matt cut himself with blood come out, or that gelatin sludge that forms in a can of Vienna sausage when it's cool. Well, first of all, Joe, gross. Secondly, I mean, it's not all I'm eating. I eat vegetables too. I hadn't talked about it as much. Johnny from Tisdale, here's your turkey tip, Beaver, this way you won't have dry turkey. You have to brine your turkey overnight before you cook it. Beaver, do you know how to brine something?
I do. I can't say that I do.
What does that mean? Soak it? Is brining something the same as soaking something? What is that? See, that shows you how little I know. Hunter, all right. Hunter texts the show. He says, Matt, I've heard more than one talking head say that state hiring Mike McIntyre and Paul Rhodes is going to help Coleman Hutzler. Can you give your opinion on that? He said, I hope that they can be a voice of reason or a veteran voice in the coach's box. Well, I can just tell you, okay, one, when I saw it, I was like, that's two great hires. Okay, so what? They're technically off the field staff, analysts and everything that goes along with that. But both career defensive coaches, both former head coaches, coached all over the place. And to have them in the room, whether it's film analysis and breakdown, self-scout and breakdown after practices and working on personnel and how do we get guys better and how do you get them in the right position and all of that experience, let alone when it comes to you get into a year and having two guys like that on your staff as analysts to help you, to help you scout an opponent and develop a game plan, how you need to approach it and who's going to do what. I mean, it's just, I already thought a lot of both of those coaches. A lot of other people do too. And to have them around and have them there in the room, I just think it's huge. I really do. I touched on it a little bit, Hunter, during the broadcast that we did for the spring game. It wasn't really a game, 2 quarters of scrimmage. But I touched on it then. I just don't think that there's been a more important addition. Certainly players are important. And I guess, if I were to take a step back and look at that, given the position State was in from a player standpoint last year defensively, maybe it is more important the players that have come in. But, I mean, it's just huge to have those two veteran coaches in the room. I referenced also, if you look back when Dan Mullen, for example, got the head coaching job at State, Dan was like 37 years old when he got the head coaching job. And one of the first things he did is he hired Karl Torbush, coaches defense, who had been a former head coach. Before Dan got there, they had hired Mark Hudspeth, who had been a head coach. Yes, it was at a place like UNA, but still ran a whole program. You understand all that. So maybe a couple of others too that were older veteran guys, and in the case of those two, a couple of former head coaches for this young head coach who's going to get into that role for the first time. And I just remember thinking how valuable that is, and I remember Dan talking about how valuable that is. And so you look at Hutzler. Last year, he's sort of thrown to the wolves as defensive coordinator, right? He goes to coach for Levy. It's his first year to be a coordinator. Oh, by the way, it's in the SEC. And oh, by the way, you don't have any players. Like, they're not there, particularly defensive front. So have at it, Coleman. Good luck. First year coordinator in the SEC, 0 draft picks. Good luck. Let's see how it goes. Hope it goes well. I mean, we saw how it went. So this year, different story. Lots and lots of player additions through the transfer portal. No telling what it's costing them to spend. But lots of player additions on top of now in the room, in the film room, in the meeting room, on the sideline, at practice, everything you do. You got 2 career defensive guys that have been longtime head coaches and highly thought of in coaching circles like Paul Rhodes and Mike McIntyre. I just think it's big. J-Rock said leftover list: 1 meatloaf sandwich, 2 lasagna, 3 deviled eggs. How long do them deviled eggs stay good in the fridge? Bet that's not 3 weeks, is it? Don't try that one. Now look at this. This is cool. MSU 1980. Thanks for the picture. I'll read you the caption and I'll tell you about the picture. He texted and said, Matt, I took this picture yesterday during the show. These guys are about 70 feet up in the air trying to wrestle a 4-ton bucket of concrete to pour a column for a new building for the University Medical Center in Jackson. And so if I picture this that you sent 70 feet in the air, there's this giant rebar frame, if you will, sticking straight up in the air, boarded around the outside, pouring concrete through like a funnel type thing into this big column to pour these concrete columns, and a crane swinging a 4-foot bucket of that concrete, and there's 2 guys up there strapped to it. Almost like, they're like those lumberjacks that do the giant sequoias, like they're 100 feet off the ground up there strapped to it and they're cutting off limbs. That's kind of what they're doing, and they got to wield this big concrete bucket on the end of this crane, turn it around, spin it, get the chute in the slot where they can pour the concrete when it's time to do it. Man. Of all the innovation out there in the history of man, the different things that man has figured out how to do, how to build these structures. Are you not amazed by that? See, I'm not an engineer, so I don't understand a lot of it, and I can't even fathom a lot of it. I'll look at some of these antebellum homes in these places like Natchez and Vicksburg, or, you go to a place like Windsor, and of course you can't see it, columns there, but you can see a picture, and you look at some of that stuff and you go, man, how did they build this? How in the world did they build this? Because you didn't have gas-operated cranes and lifts and stuff back then. How they pull this off? People are amazing, man. Okay. All right. RT says brining something is salt water. At first he said vinegar, but he said it's salt water, not vinegar. Okay, so is that, you say it's like a preservative? Man, there's so much about preparing food I don't know. For someone who has done as much eating of food as I have in my life, I should know more about preparing it. We learned a little bit about what brining is, but no, I gotta learn more. I'm not alone though. I said, B, you know how to brine something? He said, no. Me neither. I'd be lost. He asked us to cook it. Well, that wraps it up for hour 1. Hour 2. Coming up in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the state. Hour 2. After this, stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff. I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West. You can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up to a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, "Country pleasing, please." They'll know what you're talking about.
I can't believe it. I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Native community is big for me. Makes me feel good to pass on our Arapaho traditions. My kids love going up to the Sundance. I like to tell people the Sundance is about family. It's about the tribe. It's not just about the dancer. It's kind of like life. As a Sundancer, I'm just one spoke in the wheel. I need my family there. I need my role models. I need my people there, especially my children. Coming in that door, my family is ready to see me and they believe in me. Before, I'd never seen that from my people. But now when I walk in that door and I see those smiling faces and they're happy to see me, that's special. With my 4 kids, all I ask for them in Arapaho ways is health and happiness. Nothing more, nothing less.
Never stop being a dad. That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Hour 2. Right now, getting started. Y'all can be a part of it. I hope you will be. You got me and Beaver here. And like Beaver and I, we can talk about anything. You know, lots of evidence of that. And so if you want to talk about something, get on in here and let me know. You can comment on the live stream if you're over there on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter. Feel free to drop a comment there or text me or call me. Text us on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-3776. That's the number to text, 885-3776. Beav, did you hear what just happened? Did you hear what I just did?
No, but
I yawned in the middle of that phone number. I have not been sleeping all that well at night, but it's not. I only had really one night in the last week where it was highly unusual. I woke up at 1 a.m. and was awake ever since. But I haven't been sleeping that great, but it's not terrible. But I think I may just be getting old, Bieber, where even missing a little bit of sleep is having a major effect. Hey, Beav, Annabeth just asked me have I been forgetting to take my vitamins. What does that sound like? I think we already discussed that I'm holding off on getting those little pill boxes that have every day of the week on it. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
You don't use those, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't take enough things.
Well, I think according to Annabeth, I should probably have one. It's got vitamins in it every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I just something about it. I can't get myself there. Maybe that's it. Maybe I need some vitamins. Flintstone.
I always tell people to, well, not everyone. I'm not doling out medical advice. I'm not equipped to prescribe things.
Right.
But I say to you, Matt Wyatt, you may want to look on at getting on the Ambien train.
Oh, really?
It works well.
Okay, what? It just knocks you out, basically?
Yeah. Yeah. Like now, when you first start taking them, you might have some visions, but that's not something that's not normal. It's okay.
What kind of visions? Like sleepwalking visions, or no, just in your head while you sleep, like super crazy dream visions.
So, one of the first times I ever took Ambien, I was laying in my bed, and up on the corner of my wall, just below the ceiling, I saw myself floating in a canoe in a cave. But don't worry, it's normal. Don't let that concern you.
Dave, I hate to tell you this. I'm glad it works, but that isn't normal.
Well, now that I've taken it for so long now, it doesn't do anything like that. It just knocks me out. It just does. It has the intended purpose these days.
Yeah.
When I first started taking it, there was also one time I used to have a poster on my wall. It was Kurt Cobain, and he was on stage with his guitar, and the in utero angel was behind him. Well, those angel wings were moving.
Come on, babe.
Yeah.
I mean, see, I don't want any of that. I don't want that. I'd rather just be awake.
I have heard the stories, though, of people getting up in the middle of the night and cooking. Those are the most common stories I've heard.
Uh-huh.
They get up and they cook stuff, and in the morning they see, what is this casserole sitting here?
Yeah.
What are all these casserole remnants in this dish?
Mm-hmm.
These dirty dishes I have that I created at 2 a.m.
Wake up all confused and walk in the kitchen. It looks like the Keebler elves paid a visit, right? Made you a bunch of cookies overnight. See, Joe says melatonin. No visions with that. It says take melatonin. But, somebody recommended that a couple of years ago, B, and I tried that. It does not work for me. It just does not work. Okay, hang on a minute, B. Just hang on. Listen to this. I'm not trying to stand here and talk you or anybody else into believing that I'm in some way special so that all the attention will be on me. Okay, that's not what I'm just going to tell you the truth, okay? So I realize I'm sitting here talking about just recently. This is not long. It's just recently where I wondered if I'm getting old because just lose just a little bit of sleep, and it seems to have an effect. I realize that, lose sleep. But I am someone who can drink coffee all day long, and it basically has no effect whatsoever on my ability to fall asleep. See, Beaver, what you're talking about with the ambient thing is the inability to fall asleep. Am I right? It's the falling asleep initially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have no issue with that. I mean, and I can have coffee like after dinner. No issue whatsoever falling asleep. But what I'll run into is an issue with waking up at 2 a.m, and brain spinning around, thinking about things, and I'm up. There ain't no point in laying there because there is no going back to sleep once I'm up. And I guess that could be some delayed effect of that coffee and the caffeine, but I doubt it. Okay, so I don't have an issue going to sleep. Coffee didn't really have an effect on me. There's been other things that don't have an effect on me. Beeb, you remember that whole ordeal with the kidney stone?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's relatively recent. What is this? This is May the 1st, so I don't know. I think that was maybe early this year, January, something. I can't remember, but it was something like that. But here's what I know. It's the only kidney stone that I've ever experienced that I know of in my life. The only one. And from a pain standpoint, it's a whole different kind of pain. There are lots of things that hurt in different ways. But this is different because it's coming from the inside. But anyway, they had me in that emergency room, and here comes one kind of pain medicine they're putting in the IV. I think they said what was the typical, morphine, whatever. They're pumping that in there. The doctor, the nurse, they're like, okay, good news is you got this, and this is really going to help you now give it about 5 minutes. It's really going to help. Guess what? No help. Might as well have been water. Didn't touch it. So they're like, we're really surprised by that. It didn't work. So we're going to go to the next level. We got something else now. We're fixing to pump you full of this. Guess what? Didn't work at all. Might as well not have done it. And it wasn't until like a third, I had to go through these like tests to make sure I wasn't, bleeding on the inside before they could give me this third type of medicine that finally worked. And it basically worked by just knocking me out. Okay. So what I'm saying is things don't work. I tried the melatonin deal. I got to a point where it's like, how many of these things am I supposed to chew up, before bedtime for this to supposedly work to help me sleep throughout the night? It didn't work. What does that mean? What is it about a person that medicine, other chemicals, caffeine, whatever, have no effect on them? What is that? I don't know. It can be good and bad. All right, somebody texted in. And I think this was someone who tried Ambien to sleep. Said, I woke up and half of each cookie of all the cookies, he had split them and stuck them on the wall in the pantry. What? Oh, all right. Beaver, should I read it? You see what David texted?
Yeah.
Should I read it?
Yeah, sure.
David said, try listening to the morning show at bedtime. I'd be asleep quick. David in Madison said the weekly pill container doesn't necessarily work. I have one for my vitamins, and I told my wife this morning that I'd forgotten to take them the last 3 days. I just set an alarm on my phone for a regular medicine pill that I have to take, but I do forget to set the alarm sometimes. And David said, but unlike you, I am old. Well, but I get that. You set an alarm to remind you of stuff. Problem is you forget to set the alarm. We need an alarm to remind you to set the alarm. Someone texted in and said Ambien should be outlawed, and then said you need 3 a.m. melatonin. What I'm telling you is I've done the 3 melatonin. It does just like, it's no effect. RT said the doctor was treating your body like an amusement park. Well, but I'm telling you, I needed, nothing they gave me in that IV was helping. Unnamed texter said, Matt, you might just be an alien. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so, all right, we're back to cooking now. Look, 2 days worth of this on the show. I'm fine with it. 2 days in a row where we kind of wind. We're all over the place. It's fine. And in different conversations all happening at once. But we were talking about cooking earlier. And I even mentioned Real C specifically, as I said, I'm jealous of people who can do the brisket thing and nail it and know what they're doing and make it at home. I'm dependent on somebody to give it to me. My father-in-law gave me some last weekend in Vicksburg. I'm still eating on it. I had some of it today. And then we get into things that are good left over. And then there was a mention of turkey, and Beaver talked about turkey being dry. Somebody says, well, if it's dry, you don't cooking it right. And what you got to do is you got to brine it. Try to figure out what that meant. And Real C says, if you're not brining everything that had wings, you're missing out. And said never, then he said, never brine anything but poultry. Now, we had a false definition. Somebody thought brining meant vinegar, but they said it was salt water. Is that right, Real C? Yeah. Soak or preserve in salty water. Okay. Is there a certain, how many parts salt, how many parts water to do that? We're going to learn something of value come you know what or hell. I'm sorry, I said it. Come you know what or high water. It's one way or the other on the show. We're going to get something of value out of this show today. If it is simply how many parts salt, how many parts water when we're getting ready to brine some chicken or turkey, anything with wings, duck. More bully tried the Ambien to sleep. And he said, is that what he said? He said, I woke up one morning with a really chalky feeling mouth. It was kind of like, he said, it was kind of like if you were to OD on Tums. He said, I went about my morning, started getting dressed. So when I went to take the top off my deodorant, there it was. I'd taken a big old bite out of my deodorant bar. Wow. So, more bully, you supposedly took a bite out of it and swallowed it? Squirrel, he texted the show. He said, kidney stones only hurt when they're moving. Did you ever actually pass the stone, or is it still in there? No. The very next day, I had to have surgery to have it removed. Yeah. That was a whole ordeal. Walk around for 10 days after. I think it was 10 days, 10 or 14, something like that, with a stent. I mean, you talk about new experiences. It was something. Yeah, okay, RT, he confirms that, like, even duck. Okay, Real C, who's a master chef, right, Real C? He confirmed, he said anything with wings, you need to be brining it before you cook it. So chicken, turkey, and I said duck. He said, don't brine anything that's not a bird. He said, okay, but RT said it takes the gamey taste out of ducks. Now, he also mentioned venison, but Real C said don't do that. Okay, but it takes a gamey taste out. And then he said 3-quart boiler of water, heavy on the salt, and just eyeball it. So it doesn't have to be exact. Okay. So how about this, RT, Real C? To correctly brine turkey, chicken, something like that, duck, you're saying you'd rather have more. You can't have too much salt. You'd rather have more than too little. Is that what you're saying? Just err on the heavy side with the salt. Doesn't have to be exact. Told you. We're going to learn something one way or the other here. Boomer Sooner gave me some sleep advice, and he said, take some magnesium about 30 minutes before bedtime and don't drink caffeine drinks past lunch. Maybe I got to try something. Hey, but here's another problem, though. Okay, here's another problem with this. Is the downside to what I go through is the drowsiness sometimes in the middle of the day. And consequently, I realize the middle of the day for me is this radio show. But the point is drowsiness during the day. But, man, those early morning hours, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m., whole world is asleep. Phone's not ringing. No text, no emails. It's amazing how much I can get done. It really is. It's amazing. It's a very productive time. Dog tired in Florence. What did he call it? What is this? How do you say that? Triazolam? He said it's a prescription and help you go to sleep for at least 6 hours. He said it's milder than Ambien. He says, however, your dreams are still vivid and can be exhausting. Okay, I'm going to level. Let's see. Here I am, late 40s. That I know of, that I can remember. I can't, if I did it, I can't remember any other times with this one, but that I know of, there was one time in my life where I don't even know what the pills were. There were 2 of them. They were given to me by a nurse for the purpose of intentionally sleeping. You know, take one, you immediately are going to sleep for a period of time, and it was to sort of set your sleep. And it was when I went to leave to go to Germany. It was May of 2000. I hadn't quite graduated yet, but it was time to get on the plane and go to Hamburg. And there's a 7-hour difference over there. And so she was like, you got these 2 pills, right? And she said, it's like 12-hour sleeping pills. And that's what it's going to be. So you take this, and at the right time, it's going to help you to get on a sleep schedule for their time and time zone and daylight quicker and kind of get over the lag. It's like, okay. But here's the thing about communication. Not making this up. I get there, I get to my apartment, in Hamburg. Those first 2 weeks I was rooming with one of the coaches, actually the defensive coordinator. I go in there. He's like, it's the weekend. He's like, I'll be back late Sunday night. We'll hit it running on Monday morning. Hang out. I'm like, okay. So he's gone. I took those sleeping pills. I took 2 of them. They weren't 2 pills for 12 hours. It was supposed to be 12 hours for each pill. I took them both. And what woke me up was, sure enough, well over 24 hours later, was a strange guy standing in my room looking at me in my apartment in Hamburg. Is a guy named Marcel, who was a receiver on our football team, who just happened to be the one who used to live in that apartment and had an old key to it. And what I didn't know is there had been knocks on the door. There had been phones ringing. The team was looking for me. Coach Cox was out of town. He was telling them, hey, I left him. He was there when I left. He won't. I'm sleeping through all of it. And they found out that Marcel was coming back into town. They said, you got a key to that place? He's like, yeah, I think so. Go over there and look. And this was over a day later. I'd slept for over 24 hours. He's standing there. I wake up. He introduces myself. He said, man, you had everybody. We're about to call the police. We were worried. They were worried sick. They couldn't find you. It's like, man, I've been right here in this room the whole time. So I think maybe that sort of traumatized me about taking quote-unquote sleeping pills. And the Elvis thing, too. The whole sleeping pill, the up or downer deal, yeah. Living in Tupelo make you scared of that. So I don't want those pills. It's bad news. It was bad news for Elvis. What is going on? Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi, started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel.
Worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. All right. How to catch crappie. I wonder what it's like on May the 1st. Water temps probably what? Do we still have water temperatures in the 60s? I mean, I guess we do. I wonder what it's like. I wonder how to catch them right now. That question could be answered by the same guy who knows how to brine a turkey. That would be salt water. Real C on the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Real C, what's up?
Hey, man, what?
How are you? What is the water temp for crappie fishermen right now? What is it?
With some of the rain we've gotten, it's probably mid to high 70s.
Really? Okay. Good.
It's still not real warm overnight. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, it's still cool enough at night where it's not really.
Yeah.
It's not warmed up so much that you just can't go out and wear them out. I'm ready for the spawn to be over, though. I hate the spawn.
Why? Because it becomes a shallow thing and they're not grouped up?
I like them before and after because they're eating like crazy before and eating like crazy after.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes them a little bit easier to target, I guess, for a lazy guy.
I saw a cool thing last night. It was a reel on Instagram or whatever, but this guy, he has like the live view on one of these souped up kayaks. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was like this wasn't a huge body of water, but he had found a school of crappie that were like under a little ledge under the water about 10 feet deep, or it had a lip.
Yeah.
And the crappie were under that ledge, and he was just catching them one after the other. It was cool to watch.
Oh yeah. You see that a lot, like on lakes in Tennessee and Kentucky and places like that have a lot of, like bluff walls and things like that.
Yeah.
And those dudes will, not only do they find the crappie, but they try to find the direction of the current so they can drift baits to them to get under ledges and whatnot to catch them.
That's cool.
It's crazy. Those guys are a lot smarter than I am.
I don't know about that. But that might not be what you called to talk about. I don't know.
No, I was going to get in on your brining conversation. Okay. I always talk about fishing. We can forget about the brining if you want to. But, poultry, chicken, and I'm not an expert by any means. I just like to eat and like to eat good things. So that's the only reason I know anything that I know is because I've messed up more than I've ever done the right way. But poultry, chicken, turkey, game birds, whatever, the meat's super dense. You know, it's when you can cut a chicken breast or a dove breast or whatever, and the consistency and the density of that meat is, I mean, it's just super compacted, right?
Right.
You know, real lean, and you know, the big craze with turkeys kind of got to be people were injecting them with things, and you know, all they were doing was trying to get stuff down into the meat to, you know, to cure beaver's issue with it. You know, it's just dry meat. You know, a lot of people don't like it when you cook it because it dries up.
Right.
Well, brining probably was originally done to preserve meat more than anything else. But I don't know when, but people started using it in preparation of meat to cook. And what it allows you to do is, like, you soak poultry or bird in a brine for enough time, and the flavors and and whatnot in the brine will absorb into that really, really super dense meat.
Okay.
And it'll allow the moisture to stay in them while you're cooking.
Okay.
While also adding some flavor and whatnot. Yeah, the main ingredient is salt. I mean, anything barbecued that comes in a jar or cooked on a grill that comes in a shaker or whatever, the main ingredient to all that stuff, salt.
Salt, yeah. Gotcha.
But the salt's going to be from back in the preservation of the meat day.
Okay.
But it's whatever else they add to it. I mean, there's brines that'll have some brown sugar and different herbs and things like that all mixed into it.
Okay.
And it's just different flavor profiles.
Okay, so
but it's not. It ain't rocket science.
Here's a novice question for you. So whether it's just plain old salt water or something with a flavor in it, like you said, by the time you get it cooked and everything, I mean, that flavor is still there, or does it kind of just cook out? And it's just moist?
I'm going to say most of it will cook out, but there's still enough there to where you can dang sure tell the difference from doing it and not doing it.
Okay. So,
so it's worth doing.
So do you prefer a flavor, or you do just salt water?
No, I buy a little pre-mixed like stuff. I mean, I'm not over there concocting things and putting things in grinders and all. I mean, it's just too easy to buy it already made up. And I actually texted you a couple different examples of some stuff that you could buy.
Yeah.
On your other line there, and if I bought some legs or let's just say I bought some leg quarters, I'd bring them home, wash them real good. I always use my vacuum sealer for brining. I'm not vacuum sealing, but I'll make a bag.
Okay.
I'll put my chicken parts all in the bag.
Okay.
I will put enough water in the bag to just cover those chicken parts as they sit in that bag in my sink. And then I'll open my brine shaker, and you were asking about how many parts this to that and all that.
Yeah.
Man, I shake some on that dude and I roll. I wear reading glasses, and by this time my hands are so dirty I'm not picking them things up, put them on my face. I just dump some on it, and I'll push enough air out of that bag, and then I'll seal the top of the bag with my vacuum sealing machine. I'm not vacuuming it, I'm just sealing it shut.
Sealing it shut, I got you.
So now when I take that bag and I shake it up real good and I can lay it flat, I'll just put it on one of the levels in the refrigerator, and I'll leave it. I like to do it at a minimum overnight to 24 hours or something like that to let it really, really soak in there. And when I come out of that bag to go on the smoker, I might hit it with some extra rub or something like that, but that's it.
Okay.
I don't pat it dry. I'm not wiping any of the excess. Now, I put too much of everything on everything I do. I mean, that goes without saying. And I do that because what you mentioned just a minute ago, you're going to cook a lot of it off.
Right. Gotcha.
You know, so dang the 2 tablespoons per half. What? No.
Just cover it.
Don't, you know, I mean, if a little jar of stuff costs you $12 and you dump a quarter of it in every time you do this stuff, well, you got 4 good meals out of $12. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math either, but I'm not going to measure that garbage. But it really it really traps the moisture in it.
Okay.
And some brands are, to me, I like better than others.
Okay.
I still go back to anything Malcolm Reed does out of North Mississippi, the How to Barbecue Right guy.
Yep.
If his name's on it, it's good.
Now,
there's a bunch of other dudes just like him all over the place. But if you can find any of the Malcolm Reed stuff, or his is all the How to Barbecue Right stuff, or Killer Hogs is his brand name.
Right.
Any of his stuff's really good. Cosmos makes good stuff. There's all kinds of different ones, but just try it. And if I've gotten into where I do a lot of spatchcock chickens, and I love it for that. And I did a turkey that way for Thanksgiving, and I brined the whole turkey.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, once you start doing it, you will not like chicken without it.
Without it. Hey, the turkey, did you vacuum seal that like you were talking about?
Well, I didn't vacuum seal it. I used a vacuum seal bag to brine it.
I got you. Just use the bag. I got you.
Yeah, I mean, you try to vacuum seal that, you're going to have a mess on your hands. But I just push as much air out of the top of the bag as I can, and I'll put the lip of that bag in the sealer and just use the heat seal on it, just so I don't have a leaking bag.
Right, seal it up. Okay.
Just keep everything clean, and those vacuum seal bags are tougher, and they're not going to your risk of tearing them, moving around in the refrigerator or whatnot, are a lot less.
Yeah. So what's the difference between then brining something versus marinating it? Is it just the ingredients? This is basically the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, marinating, like if you're marinating something pork or some steaks or something like that, you're probably not going to marinate them for that long a period of time.
I got you. Okay.
And a marinade to me is more of a flavor inducer.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Where a brine is more of, in my particular opinion, a brine is much better for a moist kind of influencing effect on the meat, because poultry is so dense.
So dense. Makes total sense.
When you marinate your steaks, are you sitting there poking holes in your steaks with a fork? You're not going to do that to chicken.
Right. That's right. Okay. That right there from you, Real C, is the most we've learned about anything today on the show, and I thank you.
Oh, God. Y'all are in trouble.
Well, we kind of are. You saved it by calling, and I just appreciate it.
Well, and if you didn't have a vacuum sealing type thing, you go buy the big gallon and a half Ziploc bags and things like that. Just push air out of, and just try it. Follow the directions on the thing. Yep. I sat there and told you I don't do that.
Man, I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar, or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It's 4 boys and 1 girl. and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others.
Wide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I learned a lot. Listen to Real C. He said we could talk fishing if we wanted to, but we might do that another day. It's about to get just right. It really is. He said, I'll be glad when all this spawning is over. They'll group back up and move back out. And then you can catch them a whole bunch in one spot. That's what I'm thinking anyway. All right, back with you. Get on in here. You can text me, call me, text me on the Country Pleasing text line. 885-3776. You know how Real C was talking about how some people, it can either be salt water or like salt water with flavoring and other things in it. So he buys some stuff, but I was thinking about all those different things that they have. The sauces and everything that they have, that they make it right there on site at Country Meat Packers on Highway 49 in Florence. I guarantee you there's something in there you can pour in that bag and make it taste good if you want to, or add a little flavor to it. They may do it themselves down there as far as I know. J-Rock said, hey, Matt, was that Marcel Ledbetter that was standing over you in Germany? No, it wasn't Marcel Ledbetter. It was another Marcel. He was a really nice guy. But I think he was kind of spooked by the whole thing, too. He's like, because he came over there with a key not knowing if he was going to walk in on a dead man. He didn't know. And he looked at me, and I'd never seen him before. I'm thinking, what is he doing in here in my room in this apartment? He's like, hey, look. And then he explained it. He said, you gotta come with me. It's like, where? He's like, I got to take you down to the football office. See, I had not even been there. So my first experience with quote unquote sleeping pills was a bad experience. Look at here. Unnamed texter says the wings at Top Golf are brined with lemon, oranges, and salt water and some other stuff. I bet that's good. I bet it's good. Look, I've only been once, but I was impressed with Top Golf. They don't need a free plug. I'm just telling you the truth. I went one time, impressed with it. The whole thing, I was impressed with the whole thing. The one thing I didn't do at Topgolf that I wanted to, I just didn't have time, was the putting range over there. It's a little bit like a putt-putt, but it's a whole lot better than that. It's more realistic, like real putting. And no clowns and windmills that you have to putt through. Like this is, I didn't get to do that. And I want to do that next time. Well, here we are on May the 1st. Hey, you know what? Hey, Beaver, I feel like I have to do this because it's genuinely how I feel. Can you believe that it is already May the 1st? Where has this year gone? What's happening? Is it me or is it picking up speed? Good night. Miko says he just had those wings at Topgolf Saturday and said they are fine. All right. Miko had the wings from Topgolf. It's a neat place now. It is. Once you get in there, it's neat. All right, over to the phones, the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. What's up, Jason?
Nothing much. You hear me all right?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I kind of want to come home just to throw Beaver out the window for saying from, but it'll be all right.
All right.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you for quite a while. What kind of fishing do you do, Slee, in North Mississippi?
I mostly bass fish, largemouth. The occasion. Go ahead.
I was going to. Do you stay in the boat or mess around anywhere, or just stay on the boat?
Well, yeah, I do a little bit of everything. Boat.
Okay.
I do, my fair share of walking the banks. Now, I do have some other places I go that are, specifically like it's a brim trip, and I'll walk banks. And certain time of year, you're fishing over brim beds with crickets and just trying to catch them and catch fish to eat and stuff like that. The thing that I don't, I live such close proximity to Pickwick, but I don't do a whole lot of going up there and trying to catch smallmouth. I just don't. I don't invest that much time in it myself. I don't have that much time really.
Okay. Yeah, no, I asked because I don't mess around with Pickwick much once it gets summer and full of goofs.
Uh-huh.
But Bay Springs this time of year, if it's still flooded,
yeah,
and I look for gar to be spawning is what I look for.
Okay.
If they're up in the shallows, you can get out and get your boat into some places that other people can't get to, and then get out and spot fish for bass. Because a lot of times they'll be laying right there on the bank, and you can just pull them right up if they'll bite anything.
Yeah, because it's a bedding spawning type of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love doing it. That's also how I got into poison oak, but
I bet.
I'll digress. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get off here and listen. Y'all have a good one.
You too, Jason. Thank you. Bay Springs is really neat. It doesn't get, locally in Northeast Mississippi, like it's super popular, huge, body of water and a great fishery. So like everybody knows, but it doesn't get talked about a lot outside of it. It's just, for a lot of people, it's just that body of water that's connected to Pickwick. They've got the channel, that connects it there to Pickwick. But it's a great fishery. And, often the water is much, you got much more clarity there than you do other places, even at Pickwick. And so I've had times in the past, where you were sight fishing on beds for spawning fish, and you're looking at the bed and looking at the fish, and it's 7 feet deep, 6-7 feet deep, not 1.5 feet or 2 feet. No, which anybody who's done any sight fishing, bass fishing, casting to it and controlling it and kind of working that bed to get the fish to bite in 1.5 to 2 feet of water is one thing. Accurately doing that in 7 feet of clear water is a whole different thing. And the other thing you get, at Bay Springs too, like your smallmouth population up there on Pickwick because of that river system and the moving water when they open it up. But I'm sure there's some swimming around in Bay Springs too, but there's a huge spotted bass population at Bay Springs, and they're a lot of fun to catch there. And, look, please, Jason, don't confuse me for some tournament fishing expert. I am not. I'm just saying that I do remember 20 years ago when I fished a lot of tournaments how, one thing you could do is you could quickly catch a limit, 5 of keeper spots just to sort of give yourself a little breathing room. Like you could then calm down and fish and try to catch big fish and try to see what you could do. But you could catch 5 spots pretty quick and put them in a live well and feel like at least I got something, and now I can calm down and go fish. You don't have to worry about zeroing. But it's a beautiful place too. And, again, I talk about that water clarity. I had an experience, Jason, again, this has been many, many years ago, but we filmed a crappie fishing show with a guy up there who, he was a local basketball coach and like assistant principal at a small school in Northeast Mississippi, but he was an expert crappie fisherman. And we go with him, and this was in the hot time of the year. It might have been June. It was hot as all get out, middle of the day, sun shining bright. This is long, long before any sort of, forward-facing live sonar like what you have right now. He's just using an old-school depth finder, but had a way of locating these fish attractors, and basically it was Christmas trees that he would have sunk in certain spots, and it was in 35 and 40 feet of water. And he could go find these big balls of Christmas trees that he would have sunk in 40 feet of water and get over them and fish straight up and down. And he's catching crappie out of 35 and 40 feet of water in the middle of summertime. And it was really, really neat to see that. People who are good at it and they really know what they're doing, they'll amaze you with sort of the recollection for those spots and how to find them and locate them and fish over them. And, and somebody like me, you just show up and go with them that day and you're filming it. And I remember it would dawn on me, you think, okay, we're sitting in a spot. I look around. And even looking at a normal depth finder, not knowing, never a chance, and you know what, that I would stop and fish right here. Would never dawn on me to do it. And he's sitting right here, just catching them one after the other in 35 feet of water. It'll make you jealous quick. It really will. I'm with you. Real C said, I'd rather catch a 2.5-pound spot than a 5-pound largemouth. Said what I said. It's a little bit like the smallmouth thing, man. They are a little ball of muscle. They are fun to catch. All right. That'll wrap it up for today. A little bit of everything on the show, and I appreciate y'all very, very much. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. We'll see you tomorrow. See you.